everyone, and welcome back to another video. I bet a lot of you probably thought you were never going to hear my voice again, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure how long I'm going to be back for, but I am so glad to be here right now. My last video was uploaded in July of 2023, so technically it's not been a full year of hiatus. But I mean, I've been keeping you all waiting long enough, and I think you all deserve some sort of explanation as to where I've been. It's not like it's some sort of crazy story, it's really something that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. I started my channel all the way back in 2021 when I was still 18 years old, and 3 years have passed since then, and I'm fully 21 now. I am currently on summer break, and next year is going to be my last year in university before I get my bachelor's degree. And because of all of this newfound responsibility that comes with adulthood, I just really haven't had time to make videos. I've been working part-time in addition to full-time school, and that takes up almost like 60 hours, 70 hours of my week every single week. And honestly, although I love YouTube and it's one of my favorite things to do, it does take a lot of work, and I just haven't had the energy to make any new content. And not only have I not had a lot of energy to make K-pop content, I also just haven't had time to really keep up with K-pop at all. I would say that the beginning of 2023 all the way to like March of 2024, I kind of took a step back from K-pop as a whole. And because so much of my time in the past year was spent around different kinds of people that weren't necessarily into K-pop like I was, I started listening mostly to genres that weren't in my comfort zone. Just looking at my Spotify history for 2023, some of my favorite artists that year were Jungle, Pharrell, Danny Brown, Doechii, and K-pop has only recently started re-entering my life. And after taking such a long break, I realized that the way I interact with K-pop now is completely different, and I kind of wanted to make a video talking about who I still listen to and who I still enjoy. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the K-pop artists that I like just as much, if not more, than before I took my break. And I'll also be mentioning a couple of artists that I've only recently added to my stan list, and trust me, one of these entries is gonna surprise you guys. So this is also sort of just an updated stan list video. This video does not cover my entire stan list. If you want to see that, go visit my Instagram or my Twitter. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into my first video in 11 months. I think that Red Velvet's discography is one that only really gets better the longer you've been exposed to it. When I took a step away from K-pop, I would still come across a Red Velvet song every now and then, and honestly, they were definitely a highlight of my shuffle play experience. You know when you're skipping through songs on a playlist because you don't know exactly what you want to listen to, but nothing's really sounding that good? Red Velvet would be that artist who I would land on and be like, yeah, this is what I want to listen to. I also realized that I had a lot more Red Velvet songs saved than I initially thought. But then I noticed that most Red Velvet albums have like more than 50% good songs. It's kinda hard to find a Red Velvet track that just straight up sucks. They exist, trust me, but you kind of have to really look for them. And I mean, in my opinion, some of their songs aren't that great, but I can definitely see the appeal, and I would understand if somebody said that that was one of their favorite Red Velvet tracks. But for a lot of different K-pop groups, especially some of these newer ones, there are tracks that I'm just like, there is objectively no appeal to this, like it's just bad. But anyways, some of my favorite and most listened to Red Velvet songs these days are like random unpromoted B-sides that I've suddenly gotten obsessed with. Some examples are LP off the Zimzalabim album, Time Slip off the Dum Dum album, Jackpot off their Japanese Wild Side album. I didn't even really stan Red Velvet before I took a break from K-pop. They were on and off one of my most listened to groups, but I was never really obsessed with them like that. But nowadays, they're definitely in my top 10, probably even my top 5 K-pop artists as a whole.
1, 2, 3. I can touch you through the phone or kiss you through the world. Every time I run, every time I...
So this next section of the video is going to talk about two different solo artists, but I thought I'd lump them together because they both come from the same group. Those soloists are Jungkook and J-Hope from BTS. This is the entry that I said in the intro might surprise a lot of you because, as many of you know, when I first became a K-pop fan back in 2020, 2021, I wasn't really the biggest fan of any of BTS's new releases. However, I have to say that some of their solo work has really clicked with me in a way I did not expect it to. When I took my break, I didn't really listen to a lot of new releases, and that included both of these guys' most recent solo work. However, around February/March/April, I really don't know, of this year, I started catching up on big releases I missed, and wow, Golden and Hope on the Street, Yeah, those are some pretty damn good projects. Of course, we are all aware of Golden. If you were into K-pop or just music in general really last year, you couldn't really miss it. But yeah, when I sat down and listened to the album in full, my expectations were definitely exceeded. I'll be honest, nowadays I only really listen to the singles because they're my favorite songs on the album, but I would say it's definitely worth sitting through once. I would say that my personal favorite track is 3D. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I like it way more than I like 7, and my favorite B-side is Closer to You. As for J-Hope, he's by far my favorite soloist out of all the BTS members, and Hope on the Street really just solidified that. Honestly, there's not a single bad song on that entire EP, and it's definitely one of the best releases of the year so far. The song I Don't Know with LE SSERAFIM's Yoonjun is my favorite and one of my most played songs of the year. I just really liked the laid back and chill feeling this EP had. Some of the songs are definitely more under the house umbrella, but others even lean more towards like city pop. Everything considered, Hope on the Street is definitely my favorite male solo release of the year so far, but to be fair, there also is like no competition, so maybe more male soloists will put out music in the second half of 2024. Still, if you haven't already, check these releases out. They're definitely worth your time. My opinion on aespa has gone back and forth so many times during my time as a K-pop fan. Like, at first when they debuted, I thought they were just okay, then Next Level came out and I started to like them, then I hated Savage, but the album was really good. Then Girls came out and I didn't like that entire album, but Spicy redeemed them, and Drama kind of solidified that they were at least casually on my stan list. So yeah, I liked aespa when I stepped away from K-pop for a while, but most of the groups I just liked back then, and honestly some of the ones I loved never really clicked with me the same way when I came back. aespa was definitely an exception though, because when I came back to K-pop, I started liking them even more. You would think that after 3 years, songs like Yeppy Yeppy and Next Level wouldn't sound as good as they used to, but no. Besides the few weak points that I mentioned earlier, I still do not enjoy the Girls album in the slightest. But besides that, aespa's discography as a whole has really stood the test of time. Beat the test, I don't know what the saying is. Spicy was by far my favorite summer track of 2023, and I know summer just started this year, but none of these summer releases have even come close to dethroning Spicy. Since I've been getting back into K-pop on like a stan level, I've also been watching some of their encore stages, live performances, even an MR removed here and there, and wow. There's not many groups that can compare to aespa when it comes to singing, are there? I'm not the biggest stickler when it comes to a group's live vocals because I get that a majority of artists don't sound as good without the filters and the editing and whatever, but when a group can really sing, I feel like it makes their songs just that much better, which helps with the longevity of aespa's discography. And people have always said that, we all know that's true, but now that I've actually had a decent amount of time listening to aespa and their music, I can say that it definitely rings true in their case. I'm pretty excited for this next section because I've never had the chance to officially talk about this group in one of my videos, because the last time I uploaded was before they even debuted. But next, we're going to be talking about Kiss of Life. It's kind of crazy to think that I haven't made a single video since the beginning of 5th gen, like a whole new era of K-pop has started and I haven't really been around for it. But the one 5th gen group that I have been keeping up with, and the only one that I could say I 100% stan, is Kiss of Life. There have been a few newer groups that I've tentatively put on my stan list, like Rise, Zero Base One, and Triple S, but none are nearly as cemented in my mind as these 4 girls are. Honestly, I've been a big fan since their pre-debut era when they were releasing their solos, because Sugarcoat and even Julie's solo Kitty Cat were huge hits in my mind. But with each new thing they do, they just get better and better. I loved their debut, I loved Bad News, and that whole album, honestly. A lot of people say that the Bad News EP is weak, but I really like Gentleman, My 808, TTG, Nobody Knows, like almost every song is a hit really. And of course, everyone here has probably heard Midas Touch. That song is just incredible. So I would say that they definitely have my favorite 5th gen discography. Besides their vocals, which everybody knows about, what really stands out about Kiss of Life is their uniqueness compared to the rest of 5th gen. In a sea of drum and bass, alt-pop, Pink Panthers influenced songs, Kiss of Life stands out for their music that is pretty obviously inspired by some of the most iconic American pop stars. Their debut song, Shit, I don't know. How do you guys say that? Anyways, their debut song was so inspired by Ariana Grande. Bad News seemed Carrie Underwood / Christina Aguilera-esque, and Midas Touch was completely Britney Spears. One of the things I like to think about when it comes to Kiss of Life is potential pop stars that the group could try to emulate in the future. For example, I think their upcoming summer comeback in July would be a great opportunity to try something maybe Katy Perry-esque. Think Hot and Cold or Last Friday Night. But if you guys have any better ideas, let me know what pop artist Kiss of Life could try to take some inspiration from in the comments. Anyways, to sum this section up, I think Kiss of Life has the most unique and recognizable image in 5th gen when it comes to both music and overall branding, which has completely hooked me to keep up with what they do in the future. Definitely the least recognizable artist I decided to put on this list, let me put y'all onto the soloist Sumin. If you're active within the K-pop YouTube sphere, you may have heard her from the channel Aja Nugu, but for those of you who don't watch them or just still haven't checked Sumin out, let me give a second opinion. In addition to being a singer, Sumin is also a producer, composer, and writer of probably some of your favorite K-pop songs ever. Some of the songs Sumin has worked on for other K-pop artists include aespa's Armageddon, Lie by BTS, Epilogue by IU, Look by Red Velvet, and Bother You by Chungha. All bops in their own ways, but these songs only really scratch the surface of Sumin's creative excellence, and that's not an exaggeration. She typically makes more R&B or indie sounding songs, but she also makes a lot of experimental electronic sounding stuff that I don't even really know how to describe. And I know a lot of you will jump at the word experimental because of the other K-pop artists that have traumatized you with their quote-unquote experimental tracks, but her stuff is good, and actually makes me want to go back and listen to it more than once. I have over 40 of her songs saved, and that's basically her entire discography, including features. Genuinely, I would be lying if I said that I dislike any of her projects because they're all so good, or at the very least interesting. You will seriously never be bored when listening to Sumin, and the only complaint I have about her as an artist is that she's pretty inactive when it comes to releasing new music. She releases maybe one EP a year and a couple of singles here and there, which is honestly regular for most musicians, but isn't really enough for spoiled K-pop fans like me who are used to 2 EPs and a single or 2 every single year. But I mean, the quality really does make up for the slight lack of quantity. A few song recs that I would give are the tracks Brown, In Dream, Swim, and the entire miniseries album. The rest, I'll leave you to discover on your own. The last group that we're going to be discussing in this video is G-idol/idol, and I decided to put them in this list for a few unique reasons. I remember in one of my last live streams, I talked about how I still consider myself a Neverland despite the fact that I typically only listen to Idol singles, and there's only a few B-sides that I regularly go back to. One of my subs said that it's sort of strange to consider yourself part of a fandom if you don't regularly engage with the group's discography as a whole, and while I understand that point, here's how I defended myself. Even though I only listen to about, say, 15 Idol songs regularly, the amount of time that I spend listening to those Idol songs is definitely longer than the amount of time I listen to groups that I have lower on my stan list as a whole. Plus, I can like a group on a deeper level even if I only really love a few of their songs, because some groups I don't really love any of their songs, right? Again, it's a quality over quantity sort of thing. This isn't to say that Idol doesn't make good B-sides. I do enjoy a decent amount of their stuff, and the amount of fans they have is proof that people really do connect with their music on a large scale. I just like the title tracks more. My favorite Idol songs are Uh-Oh, Dum Dee Dum Dee, Tomboy, Queen Card, Oh My God, and Lion, and some of my favorite B-sides are Dollar Dollar Dollar, Relay, My Bag, and Fate. And that concludes this video. This was actually a pretty long video compared to what I was expecting to make when I first started writing this script. I'm really sorry for leaving you guys without content for so long, but I really hope that you guys all understand that adult life just comes with so many more responsibilities, and I don't have a lot of time for YouTube. If I can, I would love to start making more videos, especially over the summer, but for now, I hope this video made you all happy. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you all to my returning subscribers who have stuck around, and without further ado, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace out.